I didn't say much my first day at Lincoln High. New kid, new city, new rules. Better to stay quiet and blend in. At least that's what I thought. My mom had moved us across the country for a better life. Her words. She got a nursing job, night shifts mostly, and I got dropped into a mostly white school where my dark skin and thick Caribbean accent might as well have been a spotlight. It wasn't just the students, it was the teachers too. Mr. Callahan was the worst. Old school, crew cut, permanent scowl like he was allergic to smiling. He taught advanced calculus, the class all the rich kids and future Ivy Leaguers fought to get into. I shouldn't have even been there. According to the guidance counselor, students like me usually needed extra support. But I crushed the entrance exam. Numbers don't lie. People do. That Monday morning, I walked into class, head down, backpack slung low, praying to whatever gods were listening that nobody would notice me. But Callahan noticed. They always notice. Third period, sunlight slashing through dusty windows, rows of perfect little students in their perfect little seats. I found an empty chair in the back, kept my eyes on my notebook, listened, tried to melt into the wall. Then came the problem. Callahan scrawled a monster of an equation across the board. Double integrals, partial derivatives, something that looked like it belonged in a NASA lab, not a high school classroom. He capped the marker and turned around, surveying the room like a hawk. All right, wait, he barked. Who wants to take a crack at this? Silence. Everyone suddenly fascinated by their cuticles or the wall clock. Callahan's eyes landed on me. I felt it before I saw it. That little prickle at the back of your neck. When you realize you're being hunted. New kid, he said, pointing the marker at me. Let's see what you got. I froze, not because I didn't know the answer. I did, but I knew what was coming. I stood up, heart hammering, walked to the front, every step heavy, took the marker, turned to the board, opened my mouth, and the moment the first words left my lips, that thick, rolling accent that clung to every vowel, I saw it, the smirk, the snickering from the front row. The whispered jokes passed like notes between desks. Callahan didn't even try to hide his disgust. Maybe stick to simple arithmetic, huh? He said, loud enough for everyone to hear. The class erupted, laughter bouncing off the walls like gunshots. I felt my face heat up, felt my fists clench. For a split second, I wanted to drop the marker and walk out, disappear, let them have their joke. But something inside me snapped instead. Something deep, something tired of shrinking. I turned back to the board, ignored the laughter, ignored Callahan's sneer, and I started solving, one line at a time, step by step. Integrate this, differentiate that, simplify, expand. The room got quieter. First the giggles died, then the whispers. Even Callahan stopped shuffling his papers. 5 minutes later, I capped the marker, turned around, faced the silence. You could have heard a pin drop. I looked Callahan dead in the eye. Answers -4, I said, voice steady, accent thick, pride thicker. He stared at the board, stared at me, back at the board. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. That's correct, he finally muttered. almost like it hurt him to admit it. I walked back to my seat, slow and deliberate, didn't rush, didn't duck my head, sat down, opened my notebook, started scribbling like it was just another Monday, because it was, at least for me. But for them, everything had changed. The bell rang 10 minutes later. Nobody moved. Usually, kids would bolt out of their seats like they were spring-loaded, but today, everyone just stared, some in shock, some in embarrassment, a few with something close to admiration. I packed my bag slowly, feeling their eyes burn into my back. Let them look. As I walked past Mr. Callahan's desk, he mumbled something under his breath. I didn't catch it, didn't care. The old world he ruled over, the one where people like me stayed quiet and small, was crumbling, and he knew it. In the hallway, a few students stepped aside to let me pass. Some nodded. One girl, blonde, designer backpack, varsity jacket, actually smiled at me. Not the tight, patronizing smile they usually gave. A real smile. Genuine. It would be easy to end the story there. With triumph, with respect earned, with a clean, feel-good ending. But life isn't a Hollywood movie. Real change is messier. The next few weeks were a mixed bag. Some kids warmed up to me, started sitting next to me in the cafeteria, asking for help with homework they didn't understand, joking around in the hallways. Others didn't. There were still side glances, still muttered slurs when teachers weren't around, still whispers about how I must have cheated somehow. Because for some people, the idea of a black kid with an accent being smarter than them was too much to handle. It cracked the foundation of the world they thought they understood. But I didn't let it break me. I kept showing up, kept raising my hand, kept solving problems they couldn't, kept being undeniable. One afternoon, a month after that first class, something strange happened. Mr. Callahan called me up after a lecture. I braced myself, half expecting another jab. Another reminder that no matter how good I was, I'd always be the other. Instead, he looked down at his papers, cleared his throat, and said, "You're good, Carter." No warmth, no friendliness, just facts. But from him, that was a revolution. He handed me a flyer for a regional math competition. "You should enter," he said, almost gruff. "You could win." I took the paper, nodding slowly, not because I needed his permission, but because it felt like the first honest thing he'd said to me. I did enter, and I did win. Standing on that stage months later, trophy in hand, I looked out at the sea of faces in the audience. My mother crying in the third row, students from Lincoln High sitting stiffly in their seats, unsure whether to clap. Mr. Callahan, arms crossed, lips tight, but nodding once, almost imperceptibly. That night when I got home, I hung the trophy above my desk. Not because it mattered. Trophies collect dust. Accolades fade. No, I hung it there as a reminder that my voice, my accent, my story were not liabilities. They were power. They were proof. Proof that no matter what the world told me, I belonged. I always had. These days, whenever I hear a kid with an accent hesitate before speaking, Whenever I see someone shrink themselves to fit into a room too small for them, I want to grab their shoulders, look them in the eye, and tell them, speak up, speak proud, let them choke on their underestimation. Because brilliance doesn't come with an accent, but sometimes greatness does.